Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today's video will be an interesting one. It's a reel in a can. I've never had a reel come in a can. Somebody was telling me that they had found this on a shelf in a house that they had moved into, and could I put it back together for them? Well, this is a Savarin can. I don't believe that these are widely available anymore as a coffee brand. Features our old friend Alexa Gente, from those of us that can remember. It's the coffee of Alexa Gente. And I'm guessing this one's probably been on the shelf for some time. And we're going to take it apart. Well, it's apart. It's a reel in a can. It's apart. We're going to see if we can make this thing work again. I have no knowledge of the reel. The fellow who brought the reel in has no knowledge of it. So whatever is not taken apart, we will take apart. We will service, and we will put it back together again and make some observations along the way. This one appears to be an early version of a Penn 155. That's the Beachmaster. It's together, but I think we'll service this one. I told him I would do that for him. And then we have the requisite pieces in a can and the can. So I don't know. Can collectible? Who knows? Looks like something got buffed out on this, or polished, or I don't know. They're all the metal plating has been removed on it. So somebody started a project with these posts, and you can do that. These are generally nickel plated or chrome plated. You could take it off. One of the ways to take it off actually is to use toilet bowl cleaner if you have a severely weathered or pitted piece. When you do that, you need to make sure that you keep the reel clean after use, because, well, it's exposed surface now. This is our trim ring from the other side. You know what? This one looks pretty complete. And you can tell the age of this one. It's after the reels had the etched side plates showing the lighthouse scene, or the sailboat scene, or the trolling scene, or whatever the scene was that was etched on the plates, but before they went to a plain side plate. So this one has an embossed pen on the side. Well, normally this would be relatively easy, because all you'd have to do is bulk back a couple of the pieces that are in here, put the cross posts on and the like. But the fellow has no idea about the history of the reel. And to me, when you don't have an idea of the reel history, maybe you pick it up at a garage sale or something like that, it is always best to go service the reel if you intend to take that reel fishing. So we're going to do that. All right, we've just installed the bearing with the retention spring in here. Again, we're not going to be doing any cleaning. This is incredible for the age of the reel. It says nobody ever used that bait alarm, because you have a nice sharp point on that. Well, we're going to take this part, this second part of the reel, off. We'll show you how to service the interior gearing on this. We'll check it out, make sure that it's working. It looks like somebody abandoned the project while cleaning it. It doesn't look like it got abandoned because something broke in use. I guess we'll find out. But while I'm doing that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you like to learn about fishing reels, if you like to see how they're serviced, if you like to do it yourself, and look for the instructions on how to do that before you get going, then this is the reel for you. I think we just found out why this one probably was put away. It's missing the collar for the spacer to allow you to use the star adjuster. Not a problem. I think it's missing it, or it's got the wrong one in it, one or the other. We'll find the replacement for that. We'll make this one work again. We're going to start by taking off the bridge, and the bridge will come off by removing these 4 screws. Wow, something's odd there. Maybe it doesn't have drag washers in it, because that's the right collar. Guess we'll find out. They may have taken off the drag washers to clean. Perhaps. I don't know. These are always mysteries. They're always kind of fun to try and figure out what's going on with the reel. But something is clearly missing in that stack there. So let's push that through. There you go. So we're missing the internal drag washers. Not a problem for me, because I happen to have those parts. It's a problem for everybody else who doesn't, because you got to go get those parts. Surprisingly, those parts are still available. This is the model 155, but any of the Beachmaster or Beachmaster series will fit. Okay, this one is also made before 1957, because 57 is when they changed over from these flat springs for the anti-reverse dog to the coil springs. All right, I think what we'll do here is we're going to just take this last piece off. This is the gear post, or the gear sleeve. You can take that off by using an awl or something to push the pin out. That's a retention pin. You can leave it in if you like, or you can take it out completely. That's because we want to get to the sleeve or the post to clean that up. I'm just going to take a moment here. I'm going to shut the camera down. I'm going to go get the drag stack. We'll be right back. Okay, this is the traditional 6 drag washer set. You have 3 metals, and you have 3 fabric washers, top to bottom, and the middle washer is called an eared washer. It has 2 little studs on it. The top and bottom washer are called keyed washers. And this reel is probably an example of what you don't want to do. Maybe somebody bought this at a flea market, and well, quite possibly what happened was they brought it home and they found out it was missing the internal gear. You always want to test the reels prior to purchase so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes parts are not available. In this case, the parts are available, so kind of get away with it. Well, the gear's been cleaned, so what we're going to do now is just going to lubricate the reel up, put it back together again, and then we'll see if there's something else going on with it, because, for example, one of the things that can happen with a reel like this is the spool can get out of true. There could be bad bearings in there. There could be other things. All right, these can be installed either lubricated with the light grease or dry. I'm going to put them in dry. You can grease them. If you do grease them, wipe off any excess grease. And as we mentioned, the ones that have the rectangular centers, they go high and low. So we've already put one in there. We greased that gear sleeve. If you did not grease the gear sleeve, you could put a drop of oil in there. That's why it says oil on that little screw on the handle. And looks like I missed one. Up there it is. And I thought I brought it out. There's a little retention or smaller. That's not it. It's the other one. Tension washer here, or cap washer. And then the sleeve. Now when the sleeve goes on, it should be in good condition here. Now I'm wondering if we got the right sleeve too. Put this down, see where it's going to go. I'm looking for clearance. Yeah, we should be okay. All right, let's put this reel back together again and see if it works. I'm going to start by I think everything was cleaned on here. Maybe they took the drag washers out when they were boiling the plates or something. I don't know. Kind of odd. All right, the 2 springs that are your yoke springs go in. A little bit of grease into the gear side bearing. A little bit of grease up top onto the eccentric. Grab our yoke. A little bit of grease onto the shoulders. Let's bring our pinion gear on, grease the pinion gear. Some folks call it the spool gear, regardless. Notice that there's a slot in that. That slot's going to face forward. We want to get the jack. Bring our yoke with the slot facing forward, center it over the yoke springs. Depress that. hold it down, and then insert your jack so that it slides under the stud in your eccentric and mounts with the groove on the sidewall stud. Next, holding that down again, bring your bridge in, start from the bottom and rotate it approximately halfway. This metal stud here is going to be the stud that we're going to use as the mount for that flat spring. Bring a fully threaded screw through the corner here. Bring your anti-reverse dog in. There's a longer side on this anti-reverse dog. That's the one that faces up. You'll see there's a short side here, right? Longer side. I always have a little bit of trouble with these flat springs. I'm sure that's not why Penn changed them, because my troubles came after the design change. But I tend to grab it like this, bring it over the top of that dog, and then holding one side, bring it up and in on the other side. So this is your mount then. You have the one part of the spring is laying on top of the dog, behind the post, on the side of your side plate. The internal side, I guess. All right, then do a couple of turns with this to make sure you anchor it down before you continue. So this is one of these questions if reels could talk. How do you lose your drag stack? I've seen a lot of reels lose a lot of pieces. This one clearly came apart, probably in the cleaning process. Probably somebody had set them aside. I don't know if they gave up and never decided to put the reel back. I don't know if there's something else wrong in here. Maybe what they did was they found that the drag washers needed to be replaced, didn't have a source of them, put them in a can. Maybe they just didn't have the time, put it in a can, forgot to put the drag washers in. All kinds of speculation, right, in terms of what it is. But regardless, it now has drag washers in it. And we can continue with the service of this reel. Let's bring that collar down. And then this has the collar that has the indent on it so that it'll keep water out of the side. So let's get that started. And generally I don't put the handle on right now. Generally I wait, but I do like to use the handle as a wrench so I can turn it, make sure everything's working before we go to the install. Okay, let's take these beautifully cleaned up pieces then and put them back on. We have the reel seat and we have the 4 cleaned. And then in this batch you're going to notice that there's different size screws because the one side plate is thicker than the other side plate. So get the side plate screws that are longer. Looks like we're also missing a couple of side plate screws. So that's okay. I happen to have a few screws here, so we'll just grab some. The nice thing about the Penn screws is they tend to be interchangeable, which is always an advantage. You can always use the screws from one on another. Alright, the best way to attach the reel stand is to put these pieces in first. This trim ring is off-centered. So we're going to need to bring that up and out. You need to align the holes with the trim rings. And then these posts go on the top 2 on each side. So let's throw a screw through here. Get this started. So you'll be the only one on the boat with brass cross posts, but again, it'll function well. You just got to watch it. It's going to be more susceptible to the greening, the corrosion, picking up pieces and parts like that. So I'll put the other ones on this side. And I'm just hand tightening them right now. I want to get them all started and then I'll come back. This one has a little bit of salt residue or corrosion inside. Of course, I'm putting them on the side that takes the smaller screws, so we're going to have to redo a little bit of this. I was putting the longer screws in, which for some reason I probably thought they were the gear side plate. I'm sure I did think that. But you can see that this is a thinner diameter or width than the other. It's important to take those longer screws out because this one is thicker. Well, while I'm doing this, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, you leave those questions in the comment section. I will try to answer those questions for you. Generally speaking, I will post a video, and the next morning is when I'll actually see any questions that may have been asked the night before. And it doesn't matter what video you're posting your question to. If you have a reel, maybe you're working on a modern day spinning reel and you have a question, just leave it in this comment section. It works. Alright, got the longer ones out. We've substituted the shorter ones. And we'll put all of this back together again. Okay, once you have the 4 of them in, you can hold the posts, do a little final tightening on this. And I like to put these in before I put the reel stand in because this balances the side plate and enables me to lock down that reel stand. All right, these should be the 2 small screws for this side plate here. And generally speaking, now I can work this hands-free as I align the screws up here. It also makes me wonder, they've scrubbed the cross posts quite a bit, but they didn't really scrub the reel seat. I don't know. They're always a mystery, always fun to try and solve. All right, took a little while to get that one started. Okay, spool, bit of grease on both tabs of the spool. Short tab goes on this side. So far it looks like it should run. Let's bring the same thing over with this plate. We got a custom color here. Stripped down metal. Again, align your pieces. The one part that you couldn't put grease on when you were assembling was the top of the jack, so go ahead and do that. That'll help it slide underneath well. And I like to pull the reel into free spool mode when I reassemble. So let's go ahead and do that. Then we can align and start putting the screws in on this side. This is one of the first reels that I bought for my daughter. Not this particular reel, but I bought her a 155, one of my daughters, and we used it inshore fishing. So it was a good reel for well around here. It's summer flounder, sea bass. We used it for blackfish. Nice, sturdy, very dependable reel. You can cast this reel from surf. And actually, I think that the seam that they have on the edge side plates actually shows them from the beach. They were called Beachmasters, so I guess that would make sense, right? It's a little bit longer screw. Pretty sure I'm not going to find the side plate screws here, at least the shorter ones on the other side. But I'll take one more look here. The other thing you can always tell about the age of the handle is the size of this torpedo knob. On the earlier reels, that torpedo knob is smaller, or one that looks like the football. On the later reels, it's a broader one. All right, we're just going to get a mini screw at this point. All right, get that one in here. And this is an example of the difference in those handle knobs. This one is a later one. This is an earlier one. So again, this reel is 1950s. Where in the 50s, not sure. And again, the telltale when you get inside is the flat spring, but that handle will also give you some information about that. Sometimes you need to take a visual as to where that hole is lining up. We've got it. Right now is a good time to spin. Look at that. It's spinning, and it's not a spool that may have caused the issue here. Oh, there you go. Well, this one's going fishing again. All right, makes me happy. All right, going to take our tie down handle screw. Going to wrench that in place. You need to align the scallop on the handle screw with the hole so that you can put down the lock screw. That would be this one. Let's see if we can get it in without dropping it on my table. We can, yeah. All right. This knob is a little tight. It's turning. So use an oiler that has the ability to go through the oil port. Just talking about that with Dom. Sometimes it's just a matter of some of the old dirt and greases got clogged up in that side. Just turn it. It'll loosen it right up. It does. Yeah, it's loosened up. All right, let's take a test. So this one's for Alexa Gente. In this can, we found all pieces and parts for a Penn Beachmaster 155 that somebody did a good job of buffing out the cross posts. A not so good job on the reel seat. Didn't touch the spool or the handle, so we've got kind of a multi-colored thing going on here. That's all right. You put the line on it, and this one's going to be able to go fishing again and do well. We mentioned we're in free spool, and that spool turns nicely. We found out that the issue with this reel was when they took it apart, somebody removed the drag stack, which was the metals and the fabric washers, and I guess they forgot where they went because it all wound up with Mr. Alex. Okay, very nice. Put it in gear, turn it. Oh, look at that. What a nice turning reel. It's a beauty. This one's got a second chance. That's what this channel's all about. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about what to look for if you're buying a used reel. Maybe how to keep track of the parts if you're cleaning a reel up. And how to put it back together again when you find one in an old Savarin can. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue. Boy, I'm kind of getting that automatic now, right? Everybody who keeps us out of harm's way. I really do appreciate everything it is that you do. Thank you every day. I want to thank you, the channel viewers, for watching and for making this channel what it is. You guys have been fantastic in the comments and passing along your knowledge and in watching. I appreciate all of you and everything it is that you do as well. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.